They love snapper season. Can't get sick of catching these guys. Well, it must be snapper season. There's a fair few boats out, but it's also starting to rain and it's cold. So that's sort of a prerequisite when you go snapper fishing these days. What we're doing here is just sounding along the edge of a channel. It's tidal water here in Western Port. We've got a tide change in about 2 hours. So we're going to fish the last of the run out tide and then the start of the run in tide. I just want to try and mark a couple of fish scattered in an area. As soon as I do, we'll drop the pick, get some baits in. I've got squid, I've got pilchards, but I've also got some bluefin tuna from some fish I caught a few months ago, just, you know, belly sections, which you cut into strips. So variety of baits. We might even do something different. If we mark enough fish, we might even just drop a jig on them and see what happens. But for now, just marking 2 fish right there. So I might get ready to put this anchor in. All right, so I'm just gonna fish 3 or 4 rods to start. Now, when you're fishing in a tidal situation or in any situation and you need sinkers, a lot of people say to me, oh, what size sinker do I need? You see there, I've got a whole bunch of different sizes. And the reason for that is it depends on tidal flow. You get big tides, small tides, depth of water, you know, so you need a range of sinkers. And a really good way to store them is in one of these HydroFlow stowaway boxes from Plano. They've got the holes in them. So when you put your sinkers back in them, the water drains out and you don't rust out all the swivel parts of your sinkers. So they're just a good way to store them. So I think here I'll probably need maybe 6 ounces. That might do. But well, it's a bit of a guessing game too. We may need to go bigger, or we might even be able to drop down to smaller. So we'll just see how we go. Okay, so I've got 2 rigs here. The main rig I'm fishing is an extended paternoster, and it's very, very simple. I'll show you on this one here. So you've got your plastic slider on the line, goes up and down. I've got a mono dropper there, and the idea of this is that it holds the bait up off the bottom, okay? So, but the other thing it does is that if you get snagged, this dropper here is lighter than my main line and my leader. If I get snagged, or if you're on a fish and it happens a bit where you hook the fish and as he drags everything, the sinker gets caught, you'll just snap your sinker off. But with a loop, you very easily get that straight through the eye of that, loop that on, and this way you can just chop and change sinkers as you need. And then I've got that there, that's an Owner SSW inline hook. That's the hook I was using catching big kingfish last year. Snapper, kings, marlin, this thing will do everything. So you've got that rig there, and then the other one I've got, this is one I've started to use a little bit more, and it's probably through my mate Wayne Blake. Blakey's a really good fisherman, and he's one of those guys that every time you fish with him, you just learn stuff. And we've fished together for years, but you know, you learn things, and that's how I suppose you get better at fishing. Fish with good guys, and you pick up on stuff. So this is a paternoster rig, but it's a little bit different in the sense that it's got a very long dropper down to the sinker. All right, so that's sort of nearly getting up towards 2 meters long. And then off there, I've got that dropper. We're going to put a bait on that, circle hook, rubber skirt, bit of flash and carry on. Fish love it. The whole idea of this is we've got a bait that's nearly 2 meters off the bottom. You tend to get less stingrays and flappers and things like that because they find it harder to get off the bottom and eat the bait when the bait is so high. So this is a great rig. I'll send this one straight down and the other ones will be cast back. But this is the concept, one of those, couple of these, mix it up, a couple of different baits. We've got our squid here. There's Blakey there. He's sounding up the side of us here, so he's in the same area as us because there's a few snappers through this area. There's good rough bottom, run out tide, cloudy skies, everything's bright. Is it? Is it? Is it? It's hard to tell. I've got mono on this one. I don't know, I reckon it feels potentially okay. It's banging around a bit. I really don't think that's a ray. No, that's not. That's a fish. It's not a big snapper, but I think it's going to be the right species. See, they're just follow the fish with the rod. Don't pull back when he's pulling. And oftentimes by just dropping that rod that metre or so, you'll find line doesn't even come off the reel because he's just lunging. He's all right. He'll do. Let's get this out. He's about to hit the top. Oh. You see there too, he sort of did that lunge at the end rather than try and get him with the net. I pulled away with the net because I don't want to, you know, potentially make a mess of it and hook the fish or hook the net and lose it. That'll do. He's a nice one. Not a monstrous fish, but it's a nice one. Pick him up. There we go. That's why he loves snapper season. Can't get sick of catching these guys. And that tide's just starting to trickle and he swallowed that circle hook right down. I guarantee that if the tide was pumping and he ate this, we'd have hooked him right in the corner of the jaw. But we're on the board. So I'm happy with that. He's not an overly big fish, but I'm going to keep that guy to eat. That's a good eating size. Get him in the ice slurry. All right, a couple of different baits. Piece of tuna. Great thing about these, this is more sort of down near that belly section of the fish. That meat's really hard, sinewy, so it stays on really well, plus the skin, and is all we'll do for that one. Single hook, pin it straight through. I like to go meat side first and then out the skin. That is all we need to do. That's that one. Now squid, really simply, I get the candles on a big one. That is two great baits right there. The other one, will cut the squid's head off and I'll do something with him later on. And then probably one of my favourite baits these days is, quite simply, a calamari ring. That there is as good a bait as you can get. And the great thing about this, it's easy for the fish to eat. It's not too big, but best of all, you pin that with a single hook and it doesn't spin in the current. It's nice and tough and that will catch you anything. The other one you can do is a squid strip. And the way I do like to do a squid strip, do the same thing. I'll just skin it. You don't have to, but skin that. Rip that bit of gut out, like so. And then cut that open. There you go, squid strip. What is going on with that? And that one there. He's on. There you go, look at that. And this happens occasionally, but where you catch snapper, you catch whiting and vice versa. We're on some rough bottom here. Look at that, that's a 6.0 Gamakatsu octopus circle. We've been lucky enough to pin this fish, and I have had a couple of rattly little bites, so I am gonna ditch one of the snapper rods and I'm gonna put out a whiting rod. And it's about maximizing your options, and I think, you know, a lot of time guys think the only place you'll find whiting is, you know, up on the shallow banks, but they love this deep water, and I love fishing deep water for whiting because generally they're a lot bigger than that one. But he's still great eating, and he is going in the ice slurry. Now, being a small boat, you've got to be pretty organised. I don't like to carry too much gear. I love two-piece rods because they fit in the side pockets. And by using rubber bands just to keep the rod together, in about a minute, we are going to be whiting fishing. Just an extended paternoster rig, sinker on the bottom, leader there, little Black Magic KS10, and a strip of squid. Whenever you do these strips of squid, you just pin them once like that. They sit in the current properly and the fish can eat it just like a piece of spaghetti. If you wind that bait on the hook a couple of times, it'll just bend up, spin, you end up with twisted leader, but as that bait spins, the fish don't tend to like it very much. Feather it to the bottom. It's really, really important with your whiting bait. Second it hits the bottom, click the bail over, because often that sinker hits the bottom and a fish will dive on the bait straight away. There we go, see? That's all I did then. I just lifted the sinker, just made it bounce a tiny bit, and there could have been a fish looking at that bait, and that bait just dragged. I didn't rip it, I just moved it a tiny bit. I reckon that might be a trevally the way that's bouncing. It's all right. Yeah, 100%. They get on their side and just bang away. Although, the biggest whiting I've caught in Western Port was 50.5 centimetres, and I thought it was a trevally. Should have some colour here soon. Yep, trevally. It's all right. These are actually great eating as sashimi if you bleed them, put them on ice, but also great bait for gummy sharks. I don't know why they like them so much, but they do. Here's a nice trevally, that one. Oh, there we go, look, there we go, that's on. There we go. I think it's a pinky. It's banging around a lot. No, it's a big whiting. Look at that. That's a whiting. That is a nice deep water whiting. Awesome. And while the target is snapper, I will take this bycatch any day. There we go. You see that's quite a big hook. Big whiting. Got a big mouth at that size. Look, easily swallow that bait. Get him in the slurry quickly, but he's a nice one. I'll show you how to quickly, the way I like to do a squid head. So I've cut the two candles off, the two long tentacles, and then I like squeeze base of the tentacles there, squeeze that in front of the eyes and before the tentacles, pop him out, and then you just rip the beak out. And the reason for that is that a fish? Is that a snag? Oh, there's something on there. What have we got? We'll get back to that squid head in a minute. Oh, what do we got? What have we got? Another big whiting. There we go. That's a proper whiting, that one. Look at that. And I didn't do anything major then. I just saw this funny little bite. He didn't smash it, and it's probably because his tide's backing off. Just let him have it, rod bent over, and we've got him on. And again, this is just about being organised. Having that rod actually rigged in the side pocket, you know, you can very quickly capitalise on a situation and end up with a nice big fish like that. That's a proper whiting. Well, that tide's turned. We fished that period, you know, from slack through to it flowing pretty hard now. Thought it would have happened, but it didn't. However, one snapper and a couple of really nice whiting, and showing you the versatility of a spot and how you can make the most of it. It's what it's all about. Got a great feed. It's time for me to head in, but I'm on the quest for a big snapper. So I think I'm gonna start pushing east. We're gonna look down through Gippsland in Victoria, because that area is known for some really big fish. Not saying we'll get one, but I'm going to give it a shot. So I think it's time for me to make the move over the next week or so and get down in that part of the world.